What's going on, y'all? Chuck Nunface here, and today we're going to be taking a look at this guy right here, the Southern Grind Bad Monkey. This is a knife, USA-made knife from Zac Brown owns the company. It's Zac Brown of Zac Brown Band. Been making knives for a few years now. I don't know which exactly they started with. I think they started with the Spider Monkey, which is a little bit smaller than this one right here, and we'll get into dimensions and all that in just a second. And then, of course, the Bad Monkey is the bigger version of that, and I think they've got a couple fixed blades out there, and I think they just started doing an out the front or OTF automatic, so kind of cool little story there. Not as prevalent, I don't think, as they once were. I guess Zac Brown has kind of branched into some other things as well, maybe not pushing the knives as much as he used to be, but they are still out there. You can still order them from some retailers, and I've seen them also available directly from southerngrind.com. In any case, let's go ahead and get into it. It is not a small knife. Blade length right here on this guy is it's gonna be about 1, 2, 3, 4 inches in total blade length, with a cutting edge of about 3 3/4 inches right there. Overall length of the knife, if we're looking at it right there, let's see, I'll cheat it over. Well, that's the angle of the camera, but trust me, it's right there on the line. So you got 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9.5 inches overall blade, or overall knife. So pretty big. You know, the knife itself, it does feature the Emerson Wave opener right there and a pair of thumb studs. So it deploys very easily with the thumb studs, and of course it's got the Wave feature if you want to go ahead when it's closed and you pull it out, and if you hold it a certain way when you're pulling it out, it'll catch on your jeans or your pants pocket, and it'll just deploy, and the knife is ready to go as soon as it is out of the pocket. These have, I believe, S35 VM blades, unless they've changed. There's no bannering or no markings on the blades indicating blade steel. So I believe it is S35. This one is not a factory edge. It does have an edge that I've touched up on there, or redone, I should say, on my KME. So that's pretty sharp. This is a DLC, of course. They do come with like two-tone. They come with just a stone wash look as well. This one it's kind of similar to the Spider Monkey. It has almost the same profile and everything else. It's just upsized with that 4-inch blade and everything else. So we'll go ahead and get into some size comparisons right now. So as always, the Spyderco Para 2 stand-in, the Stretch 2, and then it's in K390 featuring the micarta scale, so it's gonna be quite a bit bigger than that. It's gonna be much bigger than the Spyderco Native 5. Let's see, it is going to be a little bit bigger than the Ontario Ret 1 right there in D2, both in handle and in blade. I'll leave that one there. We'll take this one out. We'll go ahead and, as always, do the Chris Reeve Knives large Sebenza. So it's going to be larger than the Sebenza by about a full inch right there when you factor in handle length and blade length. And then we'll do something a little bit different here. We have the Emerson Knives A100. It just occurred to me that maybe I should have grabbed an Emerson with a Wave, but I always like to do my size comparisons with knives that are fairly common out there. So I went ahead and just grabbed this A100 as a size comparison. So pretty cool knife. One of the features, and I don't know if I'll really be able to feature it right now, but one of the things that is, let me turn off this light and see if I can do it. Pretty cool is this is a glow-in-the-dark scale, which is kind of cool. And it's not obviously glow-in-the-dark when you just look at it. But if you go ahead and charge it with some light right there, and you know, I've got some natural light coming through here, but you can kind of see where I'm getting at. So it is a glow-in-the-dark scale, which is cool because it doesn't look obviously glow-in-the-dark. Unlike, you know, some other knife company, or at least one other knife company out there that's done some glow-in-the-dark, where it's really kind of ugly and everything else, but this one's not like that. So thought that was kind of cool. It was kind of the glow-in-the-dark feature weaved into that carbon fiber. It does have nice carbon fiber, nice milling on the carbon fiber as well. It's got a good texture. It's got that rounded out section for your finger. So the ergos on this are really nice too. The action, it flips out pretty nicely right there without any trouble. You know, deploying it is fairly simple, nothing to complain about right there. It does have this proprietary pocket clip, which is a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit shorter than what you might be used to seeing on, you know, say, well, that's a deep carry right there, the Emerson, but there you go on the Chris Reeve. You know, typical, well, that one's not a typical Spyderco spoon clip. I forgot, that one's a Lynch Northwest. There's a typical Spyderco kind of spoon clip. So it's short. It's a shorter type of clip right there, which is a little interesting, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, honestly, it's a great knife. Several years ago, I had a Spider-Monkey, and I liked it quite a bit, but I ended up trading it. I think I got it in a trade and ended up trading it later. And it was just a little bit too small for me, but this one has definitely got a nice full-size grip. It's got that cutout or that profile right there. It's kind of reminiscent of a Strider, like an SNG or SMF or something like that, on the handle right there. So overall, the ergos, no hot spots or anything like that. Feels good in the hand. That, you know, taking it out of the pocket, you definitely can wave it, but I find more often than not that the wave doesn't deploy unless I really want it to deploy, so it's really not that much of an issue, at least for me. They do make one that does not have the wave. It can be ordered that way. It just acts more of a thumb ramp, but even as it is, the wave does act as a nice little thumb ramp right there. So, excuse me, it's got a few good things on it that I really like. You know, if you're looking for a bigger knife, you know, there's quite a bunch of features on this. You know, the blade profile with a minimal swedge right there. A nice grind. I mean, it's not super thin behind the edge, but it's definitely going to do, you know, all the things that you're going to want an EDC knife to do, and do it quite well. S35VN, as I say, I haven't used this knife a whole bunch, but, you know, from what I can tell, I mean, I always like S35VN. I think it's a nice performant knife steel. You know, generally speaking, M390 20CV, I tend to gravitate, you know, towards other things besides that, just because I've always had kind of a chippy issue, or I find that steel to be a bit chippy. The liners on this one, somewhat skeletonized, but it looks more like you can't really see it in there. There is a little bit of skeletonization, if I can talk, within. I don't know if I'll be able to show that or not. But there is a little bit to kind of cut down on weight on the scales there. On the show scale, it looks like it's more just for, you know, machining purposes. And then on the lock scale, it looks like it has maybe a little bit more for weight reduction. Lockup on there is good. Never had any issue with lock rock or anything like that. There are some negative things on this, and I want to touch on those real quickly here as well. Okay. Hold on, one, baby, what is it? Okay, it's on a commercial. Yep, my littlest one came in. Honey, I'm doing a video right now. Can I do it later? Can I don't know. Can I do it later? Can I do it later? I'm right in the middle of something. Thank you. All right, sorry about that. We are back. Yeah, a couple of negative things on the knife right here. First off is the detent is a little bit light. It can be shaken out without too much trouble. It's not really problematic. I mean, it deploys, and I've never had it open up accidentally in my pocket or anything like that, but it's not as stiff as I would like it to be. In fact, when I first got it, I was thinking to myself, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the detent a little bit, maybe flex the lock bar over just a touch and see if I can't stiffen that detent up a little bit. And so I went to go disassemble it, and wah, wah. It is proprietary hardware, somewhat proprietary hardware. So it's got, I think, a T8, maybe a T10, but I think it's a T8 right there in the pivot. And then on the scales, it has a spanner bit. And I think I even have a bit that will fit that, but I can't find it to save my life. So I'm not taking this apart right now, at least, in order to make that adjustment that I wanted to make. So that's kind of a miss in my opinion. I mean, don't go Torx right there in the pivot and then go spanner right here. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But that is the way that they went with it. For whatever reason they decided they wanted to do that. They went with that small little spanner bit right there. So just kind of keep that in mind. The other thing that is somewhat of a negative is this concave top strap on the handle. For me, it's not ideal. Now, it's not terrible, you know, when it goes into my hand, but it doesn't really fill the hand nicely. You know, for instance, I've even got, you know, this Spyderco right here. It just kind of fills the hand a little bit better with that rounded back strap right there, and then take even just a Chris Reeve, you know, flat. I think flat is a little bit better than, say, that concave. It doesn't feel uncomfortable, but it does feel a little bit unnatural. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind there. The other negative is something that is somewhat obvious, and a lot of people kind of point this out, is this little pocket clip right here. It's not terrible. It really isn't. This stubby pocket clip's not terrible, but it's not great either. In fact, I've never talked to anybody about this knife that said the pocket clip was awesome, that they just loved it. It's either you're indifferent towards it or you just hate it. You know, that's pretty much the only common ground that I've seen or the only opinions on this pocket clip that I've seen. They've just complete ambivalence towards the pocket clip. Hey, that's fine, it is what it is. Or just, I can't stand the pocket clip, I want to put something else on there. Now, if you do happen to hate this pocket clip, the good thing is you can pretty much put any 3-hole pocket clip back on there. I know I did that with the Spider Monkey. I haven't done with that with this one, but you can put a Benchmade, an Emerson, ZT. You know, you should be able to put like a Lynch Northwest or something like that on there without too much trouble. For like a PM2 or something like that, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So, so if you really don't like the clip, you can go ahead and change it. Now, it's not terrible, but it does kind of require a little bit of effort to get into your pocket, because there's all of a sudden it just hits your pocket and then you got to kind of wedge it in. For me, it's a two-handed operation almost all the time to get it into my pocket, which, you know, is just something you kind of got to keep in mind. But on the plus side, you can pretty much replace it with anything that you want to replace it with. In fact, when I had the Spider Monkey, I think I ended up just using a spare Benchmade one that I had, or I called Benchmade and asked for another clip, and they sent it out, and I was able to use that. So overall, you know, it's definitely a knife that I like. I think it's pretty cool. I like the feel of the handles. I like the fact that it's glow in the dark. I think that's neat. It's not obviously glow in the dark, so I think that's much cooler. I think the blade's well made. You know, it is a USA made blade, which I also appreciate. So overall, I do like this knife. I do think it's very good. I think it competes well in its space that it was designed to compete in. You know, for a USA made knife at the price that it is being offered at and everything else, you can get these for anywhere from $200 to $300 depending on where you're looking. You know, in the market for the Bad Monkey. So if you are in the market for something like this, you want something that's a little bit bigger, 4-inch blade, nice action, got the Emerson Wave opener, but you don't necessarily want an Emerson. You can definitely check out the Southern Grind Bad Monkey. That's going to do it for me right now. Thanks for checking it out. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and click that little button right in the corner and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Turn on the alert so you know when new content is dropping. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this knife or anything that you've seen lately that you may want me to take a look at. Follow me on Instagram at Chuck_Nunface, and that will do it for me. Peace out, y'all.